to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today, I want you to think back to when you got started in the industry. Did you have a mentor, someone to look up to who encouraged you and taught you the ins and outs of the trade? For so many of us, a good mentor has made all the difference. My guest today, Cynthia Collins, is a true mentor at heart. She opened her firm, Collins Interiors, in Dallas in 1992 after working in the industry for 7 years. With over 30 years' experience now, she has learned so many valuable lessons. She's traveled overseas, worked with some of the most talented architects in the field, and has participated in projects across the country. Now she uses that expertise not only to run her own successful firm, but also to recruit young people out of college, mentoring and shaping them as they learn what it takes to be a great designer. Today, Cynthia is going to walk us through how she finds the best young talent available and how she helps them grow and learn, often producing long-lasting employees that fit in at her firm for many years to come. Cynthia is a true servant at heart with a mission to help and guide others whenever and wherever possible, leaving a positive impact on the world. Our sponsor, J Poor Living, also takes pride in leaving a positive impact on the world and making a positive impact on the world. The way they impact the lives of the over 40,000 artisans that work to create the beautiful handmade custom rugs for you to specify on your projects is remarkable. I encourage you to go to jpoorliving.com/LuAnn to not only open up your trade account, but also to really look through the website and really, I want you to take some time to watch some of the videos. This is where you learn the backstory about J Poor Living and how they are committed to leaving and making a positive impact on our world. Alrighty, let's hear what Cynthia can teach us about finding talented young employees. Hi, Cynthia. Thank you so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
I'm happy to have you here with me, Cynthia. I'm actually really looking forward to our conversation. You're such an accomplished businesswoman and interior designer, and it sort of gets me excited when I get a chance to talk to people that are really achieving things at the level that you are. So here's the thing. One of the things that we have discovered in our pre-air conversation is the passion, forget commitment, the passion that you have for bringing young professionals out of college into your design firm, or possibly, I'm sure, from other places that you meet them, and basically growing them up through your firm. You have a large design firm. Would you do two things for us, please? First, set up your firm, the structure of your firm, the different positions that you have, and then we'll talk about this passion of yours of teaching people and growing them up through your firm.
Okay, great. We have 12 women in our firm. We have one woman in her 60s that's been with us for 10 years, and she is in charge of bookkeeping and can answer anybody's questions about invoicing, taxes. She takes care of the business side. We have a woman in her 50s who is in charge of ordering and keeping up with the orders. She is following up. She's trying to figure out where everything is and why that fabric didn't get to the workrooms. And making sure everything's paid in case something was lost in translation. We have probably 6 lead designers, and we have several younger women in the training process. They do all kinds of work for our whole firm and are definitely just a huge part of what we do, including prep, including keeping our library straight and getting new information for us, printing, getting us set up for budgets and getting us set up for paint schedules and tile schedules. So it's just a big group effort.
That's awesome. So let's pull the how the process works a little bit first. So you have 6 lead designers. Cynthia, I've met design firms like that are at the level that you're at, where the principal is the rainmaker, the principal meets every client, the principal closes every client, and then assigns a lead designer to run the project. But the lead designer and their team, they do everything, but everything gets a look through by the principal before it happens. But the principal will meet with the client 2 or 3 times throughout the project, whereas the lead designer and their support team are really doing all the work. And then I've also met design firm owners who keep their own little cache of clients and their own little ones that they work on, but the leads are all working on projects independently that lead and principal, I should say, doesn't even really see, doesn't have to be the final, let's call it, creative director overseeing it. And then I've met firms where the principal is no longer really doing a lot of the design in any respect, is more of the rainmaker and overseeing and not necessarily interacting with clients, but interacting with his or her team in executing the projects. What type of model are you running?
For the most part, I'm at every meeting. I am meeting and interviewing clients, and they're interviewing me at the very beginning of the process. The girls are doing a lot of the work. So I'm a big picture person. So I go in and see where this project needs to go. I oversee their work. Today, when I leave you, I'll go into a meeting, and when I get there, we have a very long 30-foot conference table, and it will already be prepped and ready for me. I'll go in. There'll be 2 designers on that job besides me, and we will walk through the whole meeting together before the client gets there, and I'll be prepped and ready to go. And if I see something in that isn't pleasing to me or needs to be added to, or we do that at that time.
Okay, love it. Okay, that's clear. So now you have these teams, these 6 designers, these 6 lead designers. So what is the structure like for the team? Does each lead have a junior designer and one of these interns that you mentioned to me off air, or are they a lead designer? What are your teams look like?
It's me, one of the girls that are in their 30s or their late 20s, and then another girl that is out of college.
Okay.
So what we're doing is, through that process, is teaching them, exposing them to the process. They are also, though, super valuable because they are pulling certain fabrics that we're looking for. They're getting pricing on things. They're doing homework for us. They are researching things for us. So they definitely are not just absorbing. They are working hard at learning the process. But the lead designer has them under their wing, and they are involved with every bit of that process for that client. They're in every meeting. They're taking notes. They are, as most designers know, just pricing things takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're doing a lot of that too, which is teaching them how to budget.
Sure.
Budgeting is a difficult thing, and it's an important part of our firm, the communication up front. And that is a very difficult thing for a young woman to know how to do until you've been exposed to it a lot.
Absolutely. Understood. And so I wasn't clear. Is it a senior designer and one of these, or is there a
Yes.
third one in the middle?
Yeah, no, a senior designer and then someone fresh out of college.
And do you call them junior designer? Do you call them design assistant? What do you internally call them?
Actually, we don't call them anything because when we are in our office, we are all on the same playing field.
Okay.
Every single person does everything. So we do not call it a name like that.
Okay.
And if somebody is in need of something in our office, we have an open forum. People know when someone needs help, and it doesn't matter what level you are. You need to jump to it and try to help that person. And there's not a hierarchy going on.
Okay. And have you found, I'm assuming, throughout the years of running your firm, nearly 30 years at this point, that these young women that come to you out of college will grow up professionally to be your senior designers, or does that happen often? Is that your goal? Is that their goal? Or it can happen, it can not happen? How are you looking at that maturation process?
It's going to be their goal and my goal.
Okay.
So we are feeding into them for that to happen.
Okay.
We're training them how to react, how to problem solve, how to do the harder parts of being a lead designer, where there's stressors, there are communication issues, and so we are building into them how to be mature in that sense. Because just because you have good taste doesn't mean that you can hold a project. So
understood.
Yeah.
And how many of your lead designers now do you require a lead designer to come up through your system like that, Cynthia?
I do not require them to do that. No. We have 2 girls in our office that came from other firms, but I do think you learn a certain way from each firm,
mm-hmm.
and definitely we do things our way, and they came right in and didn't miss a beat, and were just helpful from the very beginning. We all get along with each other, and so if I found someone in another firm, I wouldn't hesitate to hire them.
Okay. But if they do come to you young and they work with and go up the ladder, or not the ladder, but up the ladder of maturity and as far as experience and expertise, that's a goal of yours internally too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. And then what do you look for? Maybe let's have a little bit of a conversation about how many young men and women are recently graduated from the different design schools, and in this fall of 2020 are going to be starting to look for their first position. Do you have certain criteria, Cynthia, that you're looking for when you put an ad out or you interview? How do you do that? How do you keep the pipeline filled with this young talent?
A couple of things. First of all, I am looking for their work ethic. I am hoping that I could get them in to intern for a little bit, to see, are they coming early? Are they asking for help? Are they reaching out to others in the firm? Do they feel comfortable and mature enough to be actively engaged with everybody? What does their resume look like outside of their schoolwork? How involved have they been with other people? Have they traveled? Have they been in leadership positions? When you are a designer, you have to be confident in your communication skills with others. So I'm looking for that. I'm looking, can they carry on a conversation with me about other things that don't have to do with design, and hold their own in an interesting way. I am also, we in the summer take interns, and they do a very large project through the summer. And so, yes, I'm looking for their work, of course, but I can train people in their work. I'm looking more for their suitability with our group.
I love all of these criteria. I love that specifically that you mentioned, can they communicate and have a conversation with things other than design? Because that is so important, right? Even when you think about the interactions with potential clients, you want to, it's like when when your kids, when you first get to your kids and they get to be 15, 16, whatever it is, and they're going to have a conversation with maybe one of those first pre-conversations with, college entrance or whatever. And you're like, what are they going to say? Right? It's like,
I know, it's true.
Right? And then they talk like so well, and you're like, oh, you've been paying attention all these years. Yay.
Exactly. I like to hear what people like to do on their off time. Mm-hmm. And I always tell them, I have several questions I always ask, but one is, if you had a Saturday all by yourself, there's not a right or wrong answer. I'm not looking that you've gone to a museum all day and, I want to know, what are your real interests? What would you do? And because those things are important in design. When we get to know our clients and we keep them for the rest of our life, we keep them for 20 years.
Right.
We have a relationship with them, and I need to know what type of person they are, and do they want that type of relationship? Because we don't have a big competitive situation in our office. We're looking for people who want to get along with others and want to help others.
Right. I love it. I think it's awesome. And it is a nice question to ask. It's interesting because it does reveal and it could reveal something in the big picture about the person, or it could reveal a moment of time where they are now, right? So
that's exactly right.
Yes, if somebody has just been busy with graduating and maybe working a part-time job all summer, the answer could be, I would really love to just sit and read a book on a Saturday or go to the beach, right?
I'd be perfectly fine with that. It just, but it does get the conversation going so somebody can be comfortable.
Yes. Good point. Very good point.
You don't want to, I don't like that when somebody comes in, I feel sometimes like they're intimidated. And so I try to get them into a point where I can take down that barrier.
Right. And then much the way you don't require a senior designer or a lead designer to have been brought up through your firm, will you hire one of these young professionals out of college that hasn't done an internship, so they come to you both ways? Sometimes they've done an internship and then you offer them a position, or are you pretty much pulling those young professionals through the internship program first?
My last 3 hires have been through an internship program.
Okay.
I definitely would be interested in somebody not in that program.
Okay.
So like this summer, because of COVID, we only have 1 young girl. We don't have 6 or 7. So, and she's too young to hire anyway because she's a sophomore. So, absolutely I would look at somebody who wasn't in that program, but it just is easy for me to have been with someone all summer to hire from that group.
Sure. And did you just mean to say that in a typical summer, non-COVID summer, you would normally have 6 or 7 interns in your program for the summer?
Yes.
Wow. And do you have it set up, Cynthia, through the colleges where it's actually for credit as a formal internship program, or it's just formal through your firm?
We have a college close by us called TCU, and TCU has an interior design program. So it is part of their program. So their professors come to our office, but we took people from Colorado, St. Louis. We took people from other places and different schools, and that is not through their program. But when they come in, we have a project for them, and they are going to go through the entire process of doing a house. So they're budgeting, they're doing tile plans, they're doing a paint schedule, they're doing all the furnishings, they're doing the materials, the stains, the moldings, and they work on their own and they work separately. So they're not working for us per se. They're doing a project, but they have to present to us every week. And those presentations are key for learning confidence. It's very intimidating for a young girl to do a presentation to other designers. And so it allows them to practice having to not mumble, look up, touch the fabrics, be interesting, be engaging, being able to show their skill sets. And so it's easy to correct because you've got other people there. So you can say, look up more, or
yes.
I mean, that's a silly thing to say, but
but it is. Presentation skills are important. It's selling the project, right?
Absolutely.
Whether it's selling the whole project or just selling them the tile presentation,
that's
right?
And I want their ideas too, not just, this is the blue tile, I want to know why. And so yeah, it's a really fun thing to watch people grow, and it's served us well too, to be able to hire from that.
And so when you say, so this 6 or 7, the group of interns that come in, it sounds like that the program is pretty enunciated through TCU, and then you duplicate it. If other students come from other schools, you just put them into the same process. When you say that they're doing an entire project start to finish, are they as a group working on it together, or each of the 6 or 7 individuals is doing their own home start to finish?
They all have their own, and I have described to them who their make-believe client is.
Okay.
So they might be a family of 5 with young children, 2 dogs. They might be somebody in a penthouse that has no children and they entertain all the time. So whatever it is that summer that we've decided on, when they leave, they'll have a portfolio of that particular. Each one of them has their own project.
And do they I don't know if you said it and I missed it, but do they each have the same make-believe client, but they execute it and create their own vision, or do they each have a different? Right. Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So you see
No, they all have the exact same client, make-believe client, and then they all have a different feel.
Interesting. And of course, the idea of doing this each week within your firm and then presenting to the designers in your firm each week, not only like we just described, the presentation skills and all of that, but are they at free will to ask the other designers in your firm for help and advice while your designers are busy doing, paid, doing actual work for you? Is that built into the process that you're mentoring them too?
Everyone is willing to talk them through that. That shouldn't take very long, though. When they go up to somebody, it should be a question as, which one of these do you like better, or how do you see me being able to come up with, should I be using Excel? Should I be using Pages or Keynote? So they're asking those questions, and they're more than willing to help them, but it shouldn't take up an hour. Right.
They're not like, okay, let me sit here and do your homework for you. But
exactly,
the idea is that any one of these young professionals could come up with their own pretend project, but they wouldn't have the access to the designers in your space to ask the different questions to move it along, and they're just doing it in their own, right? So that's the advantage.
That's exactly right. And they wouldn't have the ability. The schools don't have libraries like we have, so they spend a lot of time on the computer and very little time with tactile materials. So this might be some of their first times to really understand how to use different materials in different ways.
I love it. It's very interesting. And so then what happens is, as you are monitoring and overseeing and mentoring these I was calling them youngsters, these young people over the summer, You're also looking yourself, Cynthia, as the principal and finding the cream of the crop, finding the ones that are really rising to the occasion on every level, on all your criterias, like you said, from a professional level, from an expertise level, but also from a culture level for your firm, right?
That's right. Right.
Very
I think
exciting.
Culture's key for me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to walk in there and enjoy going into work every day and not having the drama that goes on when the culture isn't right. So.
Right. And so when somebody comes to work for your firm, they make it past the internship level and they're invited to apply for a position. Once you hire, like, first of all, that hiring process. So maybe you have worked with them all summer. Do you still have certain criteria and gates and interview process that they go through at that point that maybe some of your colleagues would be interested to know? Because, one of the things that I find is you either are a company that has a formal hiring process, or you tend to be a company that wings it, that has an interview. You're not sure the questions you're going to ask. You sort of just ask whatever comes to mind. You don't really have an evaluation, a formal evaluation tool to use for it. But what I know is that the firms that do $3 million and above, every 1 to a 1 has a much more formalized interview and hiring process. So where do you fall in that? Do you have a form? Do they go through the leads? Do you handle it? How do you do it?
I handle the interviews. They come in, I just get to know them. Their second interview, they will be doing a project and bringing it in. So you can tell a lot by the way someone brings in their project. I had one girl bring it in a big, really beautiful clothing box. And when she opened the box, instead of just showing me what she learned in college in a computer program, she opened the box and inside was this beautiful display. And they were all they weren't shaking around inside the box. They were all very taut. And in there, she had hardware, she had fabrics, wall coverings, she had light fixture, she had it all laid out. And her presentation was beautiful. It showed me not only taste-wise was it beautiful, she spent the time and the effort to do something different and to engage with me in a different way. Mm. So from there, then I would have probably just 2 interior designers interview her after me. I don't really want more than that because I think it's intimidating for that person. But it is formal, but it is not formal in a sense that it is intimidating or is
I know what you mean. But you have a process. You're not going to.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I meant by formal. I didn't mean that it should be something that somebody is afraid to go through the process of or anything like that. But it's when you go to hire somebody, you know exactly the steps. Like you said, first you're probably reviewing their resume and then you're inviting them for a conversation. Then you're tasking them with a project. So what type of project do you task them with? Do you ask them? Do you give them a fake project again, a little one room?
I gave her a fake project. Mm-hmm. Right now we're doing it by Zoom. And so it's a little harder because it has to be on a computer program. Mm-hmm. But we're all getting better at Zoom and now we can understand it, manipulate it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But yes, it is a project where I try to give them as much information so people are on the same playing field without giving them real detailed descriptions of what I'm trying to get from them, because I want them to be able to have creative license on what they're bringing.
Right. And how much time do you give them from the first interview to the second to make the presentation? Do you give them a week, 2 weeks? How involved?
I gave them a week.
A week. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Because it really, if this is your business, you should even be able to do it in 2 days. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be too hard to do.
Mm-hmm. And I recall a conversation with Chad James all the way back in the first year of the podcast. And he has a 7-step, if I recall it properly, a 7-step interview process. And there is this same thing where they're tasked with doing a project and they have X amount of time to get back to him and make the presentation of the project. And he said that, so often someone won't even complete the project. And that's like, well, okay, we're not taking the next step, clearly. Or he said, I feel like I remember him saying, and I've had conversations with him on and off air, so I'm not sure if I'm confusing where it was, but I also remember him telling me, a red flag is when someone has their project due, say on Thursday, and on Wednesday there's an email, can I have another day? And it's no, you can't have another day, right? It's like,
well, you can't, because you can't have another day with your client.
Exactly.
The client's coming in tomorrow at 1:30. So you needed to be thinking about that all week. You didn't know the night before that they were coming in at 1:30 the next day. So
Exactly. And so these are all little mini tests. As comfortable and as casual as the presentation of these tests are, they are a formal process for somebody to proceed to the next level.
Right. And that's interesting you said that, because we were considering doing on Instagram just a shout out to have a Zoom meeting with young women that are interviewing right now, because it's obviously very hard to get a job during COVID and people aren't hiring. And just to discuss these things about how to put yourself up at the top tier. What are people looking for?
What would you have said to the women that join you in that Zoom? What are some of the things you would tell them?
Well, the simple thing is, one of the things, I would start with their Instagram. And I'd say the first thing somebody's going to do is go look that up, because they want to know what kind of person you are. So if you're, misbehaving and you're not using your Instagram as a friendship platform, but you're using it to promote yourself in ways that aren't appropriate, no one's going to hire you. Because if somebody's going to look me up to see if I'm going to be the right designer for them, they're going to look me up on Instagram first. They're going to wonder what kind of person she is, to see if I want to work with them with the largest investment that I have. I don't want somebody that's flighty and who doesn't treat other people or themselves well. So I would tell them that they need to call as many interior designers as they can and just ask for coffee. Don't ask for an interview. Just ask, could we meet at a park and have a visit? Can I just ask you things? It helps, because the second I meet somebody for coffee and I am really impressed by them, I already know some other people who are hiring, and I'm gonna send that their way. It's because if somebody says, can I come to your office? I'm interviewing. I'm probably going to say no. But if somebody's calling to ask me a favor to have coffee and just talk about the business, then I'm going to say yes.
That's interesting. As busy as you are, as large a firm as you run, that you would look. I think it's admirable, but I think it's a big ask.
I wouldn't have them to my office if they were interviewing, because I'm not hiring. So
right.
It has a different feel. One's about helping someone and mentoring someone. The other is I'm not hiring. So,
right.
I don't want to ask somebody to come in for an interview and
right, and set the wrong expectation. It's no different with your clients.
That's right.
You're not setting the expectation that this is ultimately an interview. But it's still, it speaks to your passion of really wanting to mentor.
Work on their resumes. A lot of people's resumes really are not good in the way that they look visually. And I would walk them through that process. It's real important. Obviously, we're visual people. We want to look at a resume that is visually pleasing. I would also get them to work on this presentation process that I'm talking about, where it's not digital straight up from their college. because a lot of that we're getting, hospital design, restaurant design. Nothing's wrong with that, but that isn't going to resonate with me as much since I'm residential.
Okay. So spend time on your skills, on being able to put together a nicely crafted visual presentation of a project.
Because you only have,
one
shot.
Meeting.
That's
it.
Shot.
One shot.
And this is, again, you would think this wouldn't be a thing, but I would talk to them about the way they dress. I think a lot of people, because we are visual, again, people have that first impression. And when their dresses are really short, you think, I can't take them to a meeting.
Right.
Things like that. Yeah. I know that's, not a big deal, but it is. No,
but it is, because if somebody shows up to a meeting with a potential mentor and or interview person, whatever it is, if you can't have the sense to dress properly for that meeting, you're right. You can't expect that they'll have the sense to dress properly for a client meeting.
And the problem is, I don't want to teach somebody those kind of skills.
Right. Good point. I'm not your mama.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Well, you have
I already have 3 of those.
That's it. Yeah, and you know what? You have so much to teach already that you're happy to teach, and there's other candidates that don't need to be taught those type of things. So let's pass go and collect $200 and move on. Right.
That's right. That's right. But I do think the process would be fun to do a Zoom and help encourage girls, because it is hard right now getting a job.
Yes, I agree. And, one question on that, how to dress. It's interesting because as I have looked over, hundreds of interior design websites over the last several years, there are different cultures, clearly, obviously. So one culture could be that the principal is rocking torn jeans and you totally look together. There's no question. I mean, if I put on torn jeans and the same outfit, people would be like, why aren't you dressed? But when somebody who really knows how to do it and puts it together, it's super cute, right? And then there's other firms where the designers are in pretty dresses, sun-type dresses, flowers, and so forth. There's other firms where people are in pencil crop pants with, high heel shoes and little jackets, right? So you get the different, everybody has a style and everybody has a look. Would you suggest that if somebody were interviewing that they consider do they actually fit into that style? Because I can get dressed in the high heels and the crop pants and the little shirt to go to interview with that firm. But if I'm really the sundress type of a girl or the torn jean girl, I'm going to be showing up every day out of my own comfort zone. So when you think about culture and then you bring up dress, do you feel like there's something there to be said when the young professional is doing their research and then showing up for the interview as well?
Yes and no. I feel like you definitely need to do your homework and figure out where you're going into. Absolutely. But I do think designers, when I have clients come in, for some people, will dress for that meeting because of who I'm out to meet with. So we have interior design feeds into fashion.
Right.
It is kind of the same way of expressing yourself, whether you are traditional, are you modern, are you, bohemian, what are you at your core? But that doesn't mean I shouldn't be respectful to the person coming in. And if it's an older client who's incredibly conservative, I'm probably not going to wear the torn jeans every day, even though that's my vibe. So, because my goal is to show respect to that person. That's why, it doesn't mean I can't be creative in that particular meeting. I can absolutely be creative, even if I'm being conservative. I can branch out from being boring. But I think it's important to know who you're interviewing with, and same with a client. It's the same exact thing, because I don't work for just one type of person. So I need to know who I am interviewing for when they come in to see if they want to use me.
Right. I agree. I think that's, it's a nice point to bring out in that way, that you do always have to consider the comfort of the person that you are trying to persuade to work with you and to be with you and to feel comfortable with you, is what you're saying, and showing the respect that you understand their sensibility is what really you're saying. I love it. Right. I love it. So before I let you go, Cynthia, let me ask you a couple of questions. I know that you had said to me that you worked for 7 years for another interior design firm before you decided to launch your firm. When you think back, is there anything that comes to mind, like just as a clear, this was a major lesson that I took from working in this firm for 7 years into my own firm? Anything stand out to mind that you might often think back to yourself and say, I'm so glad I learned that, understood that, picked that up from there?
She taught me how to go overseas and buy. So we spent time in England and France every year. I bet I went 25 times.
Wow.
And learned how to make shipments, learned how to price, I learned how to figure out what's good and what's not, what are fakes, how to make something creative out of something that is just an object, how to look at things in a way that is different when you see these things, when you go to flea markets and antique stores and galleries. It was life-changing for me. It's changed the way I do business. It's changed the way that I have been able to do different businesses within my own. So that was huge. The other thing is, when you have these big houses that you're trying to do, instead of getting overwhelmed with the big picture, to just chip along every single week, what's the next thing that has to be done, and to keep people, us and the client, on a regular schedule. And it's going to get done easily if we keep at it, just chipping at it.
I love that. Mm-hmm. I love that. So it's understanding that the huge project has multiple little layers to it, and each layer has a process, has a procedure. Follow it, get it done, and it'll build us and lead us right to the next part. Don't get worried. Don't get ahead of yourself. We're on our way, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It helps all of us. And,
yes.
And we have that process at our office. And it's completely doable. As a matter of fact, it's exciting. You know exactly what to expect and where you're going to go with it, so it doesn't get overwhelming.
That's awesome. I love it. And of course, you said it in there, and I heard it, is to also to really continue to communicate that to the client, so that the client has that same, I can breathe feeling that you do internally in your firm. Okay, things are happening. This is what we're doing.
That's what we tell them. We say, we're going to keep you going, and it's not going to be overwhelming, because we're going to give enough time to each section, and it's going to get there. We're going to start with plumbing fixtures, then we're going with electrical, then we're going, we just have them on this little schedule, and I think it isn't overwhelming to them. The goal is, this is something that should be exciting and fun, because they're getting to do their dream, and I want to be a part of that process of making that an exciting, fun adventure for them.
I love it. And then a technical question within your own process. With having 6 lead interior designers that are managing and running projects for you, and I understand that you're overseeing and you're approving and everything, but they're doing, like you said a couple of times, you've taught designers that work for you to understand the budget and to work and deliver within budget. So my question is, you mentioned that you have the one position that does all of the order placing statuses, making sure all the pricing is right. Do you have within your firm, Cynthia, set margins per category? So on tile, this is our margin. On furniture, this is our margin. Not that I need to know what the margins are, but just when you have 6 designers that are each responsible for budgets, is that part of your firm formalized,
yes,
I should say?
We have very clear guidelines
Okay.
that don't ever shift about hourly, cost plus, storage, whatever it might be, moving fees, everything. It doesn't shift from client to client or from designer to designer. It is exactly the same across the board for everyone.
Right. Okay. And then this one position, this is each of these 6 teams. Let me ask a different question. Each of these 6 teams, how many projects approximately per year will each team complete?
It depends because we take different size projects.
Right.
So last year we did 88.
88 projects between the 6 teams. That's amazing. Amazing. And now this one position that does all of the ordering, she does the ordering for 88 projects. You don't have individual on the team. She is managing. That is a major job, right?
It is a major job. There are certain designers who like to control their own world when it comes to ordering. So I've got a couple of people who hand it back over to her for her to track, but they do the ordering.
That's amazing. That's incredible. And what a great gift for these designers to have someone responsible for that and to know that it's getting done and it's getting tracked and it's getting checked on and the CFA got to where it was supposed to get to and all that other stuff, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Exactly. And do you also, Cynthia, have a formal closeout process internally? So when a project, I'm sure with 88 projects, some are starting, some are ending, but do you either with your individual design team or as a greater team review each project after it completes, the keys are delivered, it's done, for profitability, for deficiencies, for things you did right, things you did wrong?
Rarely do we have a client that leaves forever. So we continue their home. Even if it's finished, there's still always little things that need to be done, little things that need to be fixed, tweaked, restuffed, whatever, something worn out, the dog tore something. So we never actually get to hand the keys over completely. But what we do is, like today, we're having a happy hour because we're celebrating a home that we've been working on for 3.5 years. So we'll celebrate that. And every Monday morning, we have a Monday morning meeting with the whole group, and we troubleshoot issues of that week. So it's a open forum. People just say, I had trouble with this particular situation. What did you do? Or this did not ship. We're going to, this is a true story. We go to Austin next Tuesday for an install. The rug is stuck in New York in customs. So I quickly have to go and get Stark or somebody to do a remnant for me so I can get it over there so they have a rug down. So there's problem solving on Monday mornings of, oh, here, I just went over here and this is the solution for this, or don't forget to measure, y'all, this particular situation. It caused me trouble when I templated this rug, or whatever it is.
And then do you have meetings during the week with your lead designers to review, or is it not necessarily a formal weekly thing? How do you do that?
It is not a formal weekly thing. The only formal weekly thing is a 2-hour meeting on Monday mornings.
Yes. Okay.
And then after that, they might say, I need you for 30 minutes.
Right.
And then we split off into individual people.
Okay. And then you, as the principal running this big ship, what do you have set up on your back end for you? Do you meet with your bookkeeper once every 2 weeks? Do you have, meet with, how do you do that?
Every Thursday afternoon, I do reports. So on Thursdays, I do ARs, profit and loss, balance sheets, things like that with her. And then I try to do my best to work that into what our future goals are. It helps me to know who I can take and who I can't take, or what I need to take on. Even if we're booked but our numbers aren't working, I still need to take something on. And so our Thursday meetings are more financially based.
Good. I love it. I'm not at all surprised. I mean, this is the thing. You may have had conversations with younger design entrepreneurs that, look, it's no secret that money doesn't come naturally to most of us that are creative. Some of you are lucky. I don't know if you are or you've learned it, but many interior design firm owners do have the math gene, I call it. But what I have found as a misconception is that the bigger my firm grows and the higher up I go, the less I'm going to be monitoring the money because I don't want to monitor it. I don't understand it. I don't know what it means. But it's exactly the opposite. And here you are expressing that every Thursday you're looking at each of your reports and you're using it to analyze how you're filling out your pipeline, yeses and nos, and probably the hires that you're making. But the idea is, have you noticed the same, that sometimes a younger entrepreneur will think their goal is to offload that, but their goal really is to offload the nuts and bolts of it, just the way your design team does the nuts and bolts, and then you're there to review and tweak the vision and make some big picture changes. Agree?
That's right. And sometimes we have to diversify, and I want to have that in the works too. So if ever anything like COVID comes down and we lost clients or whatever, I mean, obviously we work with oil and gas people because we are in Texas, but if something like it did, 3 months ago when the oil went down below $1 a barrel, you start to think, what is our next turn of events that we need to put into place to keep our ship afloat?
Right. Exactly.
So we work on those kind of things as well.
I love it. It's great information, and your peer level listeners understand and do that. It's the ones who aspire to your level that I bring the point out and make sure that they understand that is the value of really having a handle on your numbers, that all of those things come into it, and it gives you the confidence that you're on the track every single month and you're nimble enough because you're looking at it weekly to make changes where you need them. Right, Cynthia?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
That's
I
right.
love it. I have to say, I'm so grateful for your sharing your story and the back end of how you run your business. I think it's amazing how much passion that you have for bringing up young professionals through your firm and giving them the opportunity. And it's clear that you are invested in helping them grow. And it, of course, benefits you and your clients, but there's no question that it comes from the right place and the right desire. And it's awesome. And I commend you for it. Thank you.
I love what you do. You have my dream job, being able to just talk to people and learn I love business podcasts. And so it just, I would love to do your job.
I have to tell you, it has been an amazing byproduct of this. You hit it right on the head. Having the opportunity for 4.5 years, over 560 interviews with intelligent, smart business owners has been the most amazing experience and gift. And I have gasped for it all day long, every day, because it is incredible, the tiny little things that you learn that I bring to my own business. And then also I'm able to share with other people. And you hit it on the head. It's a dream job. I'm grateful for it.
That's awesome. I'm so glad I got to visit.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Appreciate it.
Enjoyed it.
I am so impressed by the way Cynthia really commits herself to giving the value to aspiring interior designers, right? Even freeing herself up to go have coffee with them and share her advice and her experience with them. That's pretty remarkable. truly. And when I heard her speak so passionately about her first boss, I mean, of course you can see how and why she does it. She herself gained so much more than job experience with that first firm. She was so well mentored and guided that it's clear, the through line, right? She got to travel England, France, more than 20 times. Think about that as a young designer, right? Learning to buy product, how to shop it, how to price it. I mean, and she carries all of that experience and those lessons into her firm today. So fortunate, so lucky, right? And of course, what does she do? She pays it forward every single day by helping her own young employees learn what it takes to be successful, whether it's presenting with confidence to jumping in and helping out wherever they needed, really just developing that culture of success, that mindset of success in them, right? And another thing that stood out to me was how she manages to keep everything on track with 6 different teams operating while still providing an excellent client experience and this outstanding learning experience to her employees. She really knows the value of consistency and having systems in place in order to keep everything organized. I loved her idea of Monday meetings. Of course, we've had many designers over the years tell us that they do that to discuss the issues and problems and things that come up along the way. It's the way that you take care of these details that set you apart, right? And speaking of details that set you apart, let's just talk about Monogram for a moment, shall we? I mean, seriously though, right? Monogram appliances. Have you looked at this line, their suite of appliances available for your next kitchen project? If you do, you're not only going to find the attention to detail in the technology that they build into every single appliance that's available, also the attention to detail in the design and the workmanship. So I really encourage you to sign up for your designer program. Go to monogram.com /LuAnn, monogram.com /LuAnn. And if you have the opportunity to visit a location near you that has the Monogram product on display, I highly encourage you to go and see for yourself the attention to detail and workmanship and luxury that you will find in the Monogram suite of appliances. All right, now back to Cynthia. How about this internship program that she runs every summer? This is a true boots-on-the-ground training for the interns, any intern who's lucky enough to be part of this. I mean, her philosophy is not to have them work in her firm on her firm's projects. This is rare, right? Maybe other large firms do this as well. I have not actually ever thought to ask this of the large firms. And be sure, in the future, I will start to ask about this, okay? But in the meantime, it's clear to me that this is actually a major benefit to both the intern, like I said, who's lucky enough to be part of this, but also to Cynthia as well, right? So on one hand, she gives them a project that models an exact project that a real-life design project would be. And she tasks them with everything from the ground up, including presenting to her and her team every week, okay? So what does this do? This takes this internship experience beyond grabbing memos and meeting painters at job sites, right? It's real-life experience for that designer without the risk of the actual client on the other side. So it's awesome, and I love it. And, you know, you can see how it benefits Cynthia as well. Not that it doesn't take her time and not that she doesn't invest into it, but this is how she gets to see close up the interns coming up and graduating that truly have chops, right? That really have the potential to develop into the kind of designer that she ultimately wants to hire for her firm. I love it. I think it's awesome. I mean, you talk about a win-win, right? Think back to when you were starting out. How valuable would having this opportunity have been to you to be able to actually not just do the lower level, entry level stuff on an internship program, but to actually have the benefit of an experienced team oversee you as you do an entire project start to finish. It's amazing. Of course, it's probably not practical for a smaller firm, right? If you're 1 or 2 people in a firm, you know, you're going to hire an intern and you're going to teach them a lot at the level that you need them to work. There's no question. Many firms have done that with great success. And of course, the intern does come away with tremendous value too. But this is an interesting point that I thought was, something to make a highlight of. All right. And then the other thing is the point of building a quality team unto itself, right? This takes time, effort, and planning. And I want to say that for more step-by-step on this, if you are in the throes of trying to hire right now, there's 2 episodes that you should listen to. Episode 68 with Chad James, all right? He walked us through his entire hiring process, like specifically step 1, step 2. And he included how he weeds out prospective employees based on the red flags that he sees. So that's a valuable show. The other one is episode number 363 with my cousin Eileen Hahn. Eileen shared how to care and feed exceptional employees, right? That's what the care and feeding of exceptional employees. And also how to find the right person for the job, all right? The person who is in the right job for them. This is her actual mission in life, is to really be a support and a help person for people to work in their true superpower, to have a true exploration of waking up every day and knowing you're doing exactly what you're meant to do. And so she helps individuals realize this calling, but she also helps us practically as entrepreneurs and business owners through a very specific hiring process that she uses so that you only end up hiring people who are truly right for the job. Okay, it's a fantastic process. And I've talked about her before on the show. And of course, if you've met her in real life, if you've been to any of the Power Talk Friday events that she's been at, you're shaking your head and you're saying, I know, she's amazing, because she is the kind of person that touches you. If you came to LuAnn Live, maybe you were lucky enough to meet her as well, right? The thing is that as she started to come to different events with me, and she just wanted to be there. She's just a loving being. She's like, Lu, this is great. Look at these designers, like this community. It's so exciting. And I said, you've got to start to offer services for them. And she's just looking at me and I'm like, you have to. We can't keep teasing them with this amazingness. And so, of course, for the last year, she has offered some services for you if you're an interior designer or window treatment professional and you're looking to expand and hire in your team. And I would tell you, you can find information on that on my resources page. You go to luannigara.com/resources. There's actually quite a few resources there for you, but you can see what Eileen is doing, okay? Now, I wanted to say, too, it's pretty clear that Cynthia has tons of experience in running a successful firm, right? I mean, part of it is just the years in the doing it. When you have the opportunity to be in business as many years as Cynthia has, as I had, half of your great ideas come from the mistakes you made. I mean, that's just the plain and simple truth of it, right? And what makes you have a little bit more edge is that hopefully you're the one who's learned from your mistakes, all right? And you make the revisions and you change the way you do things and you go about it better, all right? This is the advantage of many years in business. It is hard running a business, prioritizing and strategizing, trying to see the big picture while focusing on what's in front of you. And I want to tell you that these are exactly the kinds of decisions that I help you with when you decide to hire me as your chairman of the board. All right. I help you. I help plan with you for your long-term success. I work side by side with you as you implement the steps, and I help you make the tough decisions that go with running a profitable business. All right. We work together for a full year with a shared objective of getting you to the goals that you have for your business. If that sounds like something that you would like to have in your life, then please let me know. Go to luannigara.com/COB, chairman of the board. All right. All right. Thank you so much to Cynthia. I hope that you enjoyed meeting Cynthia as much as I did, and that you enjoyed the ideas that she has and the goals and the visions that she has for her company, the culture, and the way that she is committed to recruiting young people that will grow with her as she grows her firm through the years. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I love doing this with you. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.